We are talking about the Christmas-themed horror movie, Elves. Now this one is also called Evil Elves in the UK. And this one is directed by Jamaal Buden and stars Deanna, Grace Congo and Lisa May. It's a very loose follow-on from the 2017 movie called Elf. And it's by Uncork'd Entertainment in the US, High Flyers Entertainment in the UK. And then the story sets up, we have these kind of group of friends that are coming together for a party, and they're in this kind of like dilapidated old building, and they're drinking, doing drugs as you do. And one of their friends decide that they're going to play this particular game, and it's something where you kind of write your most naughty secret, and we're not talking sexual secret. You're kind of like your thing you're most ashamed of ultimately that you've been naughty with on this list, and as part of the game. And then as it transpired, there is some kind of like these haunted elf wooden dolls that ultimately are going to pick on these victims now. Now they have kind of admitted their deepest, darkest thing that they have regrets on, or something like that. Their naughty list, and it kind of possesses it. Now, if you've seen the movie Truth or Dare, where we have these, and they actually reference this in this movie, which is I find bizarre because they've done exactly the same thing. These ultimately, what happens is these dolls kind of possess these people and make them have what they refer to in this as the Snapchat filter face, and they do the exact same thing in this. So basically, when a person is possessed, they have this weird sort of like CGI face that kind of makes their kind of features look all kind of weird, Snapchat filter, and they do bad things. So that's kind of your basic setup of the movie. If you are expecting a killer doll movie, if you are expecting a movie that actually has elves doing stuff, then I'm afraid you're going to be in for somewhat of a disappointment here, because they really just are, think Annabelle, where it's basically one of these kind of dolls that are influencing people rather than kind of doing any type of killing themselves. There's very little of the actual elf dolls themselves in this movie, and when they are in it, they are really pretty much static for most of the time here. You'll maybe see a little bit, but don't be expecting a killer toy movie, because you ain't going to get it. Instead, now you've got killer Snapchat filters. The most bizarre thing about this film is the lack of actual story here. It just seems to be a collection of set pieces where people are killing one another with very little through narrative. What we do have involves kind of Lisa May's character. She's kind of like introduced kind of later on in the movie as a kind of someone who may hold the kind of the secret about what's kind of going on. But there's not actually, I didn't really feel the plot actually went anywhere in this movie. The actual cast of characters here, I've got to say, seem to be like but fairly kind of new to the acting game. It almost feels like not many takes were done, and the filmmaker here has filmed this scene and then there's got okay, that'll do, and then just done that one take on it, because the cast as a whole, not everyone, but as a whole, seem relatively inexperienced and unsure of their kind of like their commitment to the roles. And as such, the acting comes across just like that, like they've just done one take ultimately. I mean, I don't know if that's the case. It's just how it sort of comes across on the scene. So the special effects are kind of quite minimal here. It is definitely a Christmas-themed horror film. There's lots of kind of like aesthetics and kind of theme music that give it this kind of like this Christmas festive killer feel. So that was kind of quite fun. I did like the kind of the music and stuff. The actual dolls themselves look suitably festively creepy. So that was they were quite fun, I've got to say. But they were just not much done with them ultimately. And the fact that they referenced Truth or Dare in this movie and then have exactly the same effect, I find it very bizarre. It's almost like they're taking a piss of Truth or Dare by having what they refer to as Snapchat filter face and then do the exact same thing. It's an odd choice, I have to say, and they reference other horror movies as well, like It Follows. So I've got to say, this film really just seemed like a bit of treading water. I quite enjoyed the first Elf for a kind of a low-budget horror festive flick, but this one doesn't really seem to go anywhere. It doesn't really seem to kind of like make use of the premise. Ultimately, the cast feels like they're kind of this is kind of just like a run through, the kind of like their preparation for the real kind of film almost. So I've got to say this film was somewhat disappointing, and I don't think there are better Christmas horror films out there. Even the original Elf film I thought was a lot stronger than this one. So I'm going to have to give this one a 3 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.